Merran, hi. It is so good to see you and welcome to 5 Curly Career Questions.
Thank
So
you.
you're very welcome. So we've actually known each other, I worked out yesterday, for nearly 13 years.
Oh
So
my
we
goodness.
met at IAG. You were working in marketing and I was in human resources. And I remember that we initially bonded over a particularly challenging leadership team meeting. So now you are the General Manager, People and Culture for Healthcare Holdings in New Zealand. You sit on the executive team and you're also a director on board. You started your career as a journalist, didn't you?
Yeah, I started working in a daily newspaper when I
Cool.
was 17. Yeah.
Cool. And then through that, I was looking at your LinkedIn and it's like, you progressed, you were working through marketing, comms, and then more recently in HR.
Mm,
And you also represent New Zealand in the Women's Curling Championships.
this is true. This is true.
Not a lot of people know that.
This is
Okay,
true. Yeah,
so your 5 curly career questions.
go for it.
So the first question, tell me about a time when you've experienced a career transition or a time when you felt stuck.
Um, to be honest, I've always, I think my whole career has been full of career transitions. I remember uh, early on working in a daily newspaper, which is exciting and pacey, and you learn so much in a very condensed time. But good news doesn't sell; it's very hard on people. So my very first career transition, I think, was I'd really wanted to be a journalist uh, in a newspaper, and working in that environment. It wasn't for me. And it wasn't for me because it just really challenged my values that my good day was someone else's bad day. And so I took what I had learned from that and switched, became a speechwriter. I worked then in a health and safety consultancy. I then worked in sales and marketing, and I've always had career transitions. The most
Cool.
recent one, I think, has been, well, I know, has been moving from marketing into human resources,
Yeah.
which is not my background, but actually the principles of and the strengths that I'd built in my career moving into a different space was able to take them forward. So I think career transition sums up my career
Your
so far,
career.
and
Nice.
I
Thank you.
encourage everyone to do it. Yeah, I talked to someone today actually about who's wanting to move from being a teacher because they love what they do, but they don't like the bureaucracy. And they were wanting advice on how do I move into a different space. And it's like, well, don't overthink it. There's nothing you can't undo. Think
Yeah.
about what you love doing. Think about the companies you admire. See what jobs they've got, and have a look at the ads and see if you think you could do it. Pitch yourself forward. Like
That's really great advice.
there's
Yeah.
really nothing. You can spend endless time agonizing over should I do this or should I do that? But if you do it, what's the worst that could happen? You don't like it, you can move on. So yeah, that's what I've tried to do.
Cool. Thank you for that. So, second question.
Hmm.
Our priorities change over our lives, right? What was important to us in our 20s is no longer as important in our 40s or 50s. In what one way have your priorities changed?
Um, I care less about what people think of me and more about what I think of myself. And as if I think about one learning through every role that I've had, it's boils down to less about what I know and what I do, and more about how I do it and how I feel about how I do it. And we've all worked in environments that are challenging and with people who are challenging, and you and I met in one such environment.
Yes, we did.
And, you know, you can choose to be part of that negative game, or you can choose to path your, chart your own course. And so for me, that learning of feeling good about who I am and how I conduct myself and what I stand for is more important than what I do.
Thank you. That's really,
that
that's a
answers your
really
question,
beautiful.
but that's
No, it totally does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, third question. What are a couple of either key resources or pieces of advice that you've had along the way?
I think the two best pieces of advice I had was one, don't try and do too much. I'm a really fast-paced worker, and but you can only go as fast as the speed of the business, and you can only go as fast as the speed of the slowest people in the business. So don't try and do too much, but do the things that will have the most impact, was a great piece of advice I got. Second piece of advice was don't blow the business up, which
that's a very
which I've always tried to keep in mind, and that's sort of, are we trying to win the battle or trying to win the war? And sometimes the battles become consuming and we get obsessed in the actual battle and lose sight of actually what are we really trying to achieve. So I've tried to hold those two things quite close in my mind. When I work, I don't always get it right, and sometimes I have to go, war, not battle, war, not battle. But
so a little reminder. Okay, thank you. So, coriander equivalent. I truly hate coriander. And when you really, really dislike something, when you think about that feeling in a professional setting, let's call it a coriander moment. What's your coriander equivalent in a work context?
I think I've got a couple. I love coriander, by the way, but I think I've got a couple. I'm propelled by people saying that I can't do something or something can't be done.
Okay.
And because my mind's just wired to find a way forward and find an answer to a problem. So that can't be done is a bit like a stick of dynamite for me of, well, there's nothing that can't be done. The other one is I really dislike entitlement, and what I mean by that is a sense of people feeling they should have things without having put in some of the groundwork for it. And it's a personal bugbear of mine, and particularly in my HR role, it's quite challenging because people in the HR world can come with a sense of entitlement about, well, I should have these things and the company should be giving me these things, and it's not how I'm wired to think. I always think I have to demonstrate my value and make the business better and make things better. I don't expect things that are always just given to me. So that is it's a bit of a red rag to a bull to me when I come across entitlement and people assuming that things should just be dropping on their plate. And
Thank you. Okay. So I've got two final questions for you. So in New Zealand, as you know, there is a concept about a Maori custom called a koha, a gift. And so if you could give a koha or a gift to someone going through a career transition or stuck at a career crossroads, what would that koha be?
Well, I wonder if I did that this morning, actually, but I think the quote is encouragement, which is put yourself out there. Don't overthink things. If you're wanting to make a change, step forward and do it. The worst that can happen is it doesn't happen as you expect it to. The best that could happen is you could land in a place that's better than where you are. The absolute best outcome is that you could end up in a place that is really more aligned with you and your spirit. So,
Thank you.
I think
That's a
my
beautiful
gift
koha.
would be encouragement. Yeah.
Cool. Thank
Be
you.
brave.
So your final question, which is a mystery question. So this is a concept that I stole from Stephen Bartlett, that the previous guest leaves a mystery question, and you can obviously do the same for another guest. So your question is, in the film of your life, what is that theme song?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm a bit of a bogan, so it could be anything there.
What springs
What
to
is
mind? What's come to mind?
the theme song for my life? Oh, look, I think it's joyful. I like the song Happy.
Nice.
You know, I'm not youthful. I have lived really well. I've done things awesomely. I've done things terribly. But I try to take the best of what I've done and take it forward. And being happy is really important to me. So probably, I think Happy by I don't know who sang it, but yeah, let's go with
I
that.
can see him. I can see him in my mind, but same. I can't remember the name either. I love that. That's gorgeous. Merran, thank you so much. It's been my absolute pleasure to hear your answers to the 5 curly career questions.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.